Today we're going to be talking about a portable shipping container power generation station that you can drag and drop into the middle of nowhere for the apocalypse or maybe just to go off grid. We're going to be joined by our friends over at the Container Guy YouTube channel, so let's check it out.
Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here, back with my buddy Channing at the Container Guy YouTube channel. He has something that obviously caught my attention. You could probably appreciate why. I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, how can I have a portable power grid system that I can just get a helicopter to take out into the middle of the woods so I can survive the apocalypse? Sure enough, he had something that fit the bill. So how's it going, man? And what are we looking at here? This is amazing.
This here is a 20-foot shipping container with our solar panel mounting kit. So we got a very modular method to mount solar panels to shipping containers now. So a lot of people, they need a foundation to mount these panels, and a lot of people already own shipping containers. So if you have that, you're ready to go. You just need a drill and an impact driver and you can get to work and get yourself off the grid, or at least producing some green energy.
A big challenge for some people is, how do we mount the solar panels? Some people put them on the roof, but like you just got new shingles put in. You don't want to be, drilling a bunch of holes in the roof. Maybe you want to put them on the ground, but then you have a fixed system. Some systems are, portable, where you can set them on the ground and move them. But you're saying that you have a system that you've devised that makes it easy for people to mount panels like this to any shipping container.
Yeah, and another huge thing about this is that you can actually mount all this and not poke a single hole in your envelope. So if you're worried about poking holes in the roof of your home, here you're not even affecting the waterproofness and the airtightness of your shipping containers. And yeah, it's portable, so containers, you just winch them up and move.
So when you think about it, it's really a dual purpose, because you're not really using the outside of a container for much. Yeah. So you might as well have it as a mounting system for your solar system. And then of course you can feed inside all your components, your wiring, your charge controller, your inverters, all that stuff that can be sheltered inside the envelope, which is a really cool idea. How many watts are these panels?
These are massive panels. These things are 540 watts each.
And I noticed they're like the perfect size for a shipping container, eh?
The corrugation panels between each weld is about 44 inches, and that's almost the same width as these panels, so it worked out great. Originally we were going to mount 6 panels. These things showed up, they were the wrong size. We're like, wow, we had 12 of them. And then by the time we were playing around, we actually installed these 3 different times in a span of like 2 weeks. But this is the way to go. This is how I think we want to develop our kits to match these, because it's so perfect how it matches 4 corrugations.
You still have 2 extra panels, you say?
Yeah.
So maybe there's a way to put them on the side or something?
You could, yeah. And then instead of solar tracking, trying to come up with some gimmick to have the container follow the sun, you could definitely point this north-south and then have your panels on the east and west sides and maybe the back end. You could do whatever, because panels are cheap nowadays, and building these fancy...
They're cheap now, but not when it hits the fan. They're going to be very expensive, so buy them now while you can. If you can scoop them up.
That's another thing about these kits, is that they're modular, and so if you can't afford 10 panels and 10 kits right out of the hole, every paycheck you can just one at a time and slowly be expanding your grid, I guess.
That's a great idea. And so then it's not like a layaway thing where you got to save money, buy a whole system. You can buy it in component pieces. It's modular, like you say. These are monocrystalline panels, so they're the most efficient that you can get at this point in time. The most density per square meter in terms of power output. Some people are going to say, well, what about a track system? And you made a good point about how the juice might not be worth the squeeze to do that, in your opinion, just in terms of the amount of power that you're going to generate in addition to, like, what is the actual statistics on that?
Yeah, like we could have some sort of a screw that would follow the sun, or turning is really kind of difficult with the way that this kit is built. But you can also just pull them out once a year, like for you got summer and winter positions, and for the economics of it, it costs probably 100% more. So you double your cost to build a solar tracking system, where you're only going to get about 20% more efficiency. So if you just buy 20% more panels, yeah, boom, you're done.
So how exactly does this adjustable degree of angle system work on these panels?
Let's show you.
All right, let's check it out.
It's pretty simple. It's best and safest to be a 2-person system, but basically you just grab it and flare it out. We have like limiters at 45 degrees right now.
So yeah, it just slides along this strut rail system here, whatever this is, strut channel.
So we have bearings, or a strut type of bearing that slides in that channel, and that keeps everything nice and secure. Typically with those spring nuts, we'll mount a limiting bracket, but it looks like we've taken them out there. But once we get it up, we can...
You can adjust it to...
Yeah, and we can pin them so that it would stop them from going downwards, and we'd also pin them from stopping them going upwards. If we pin them so that they don't come down, a wind gust could still lift them up. So we need to stop both flows or directions. This is just a prototype kit actually, so we're working on the design. We'll be utilizing a slotted strut and another version, and then we can actually have like a safety chain in there with like a carabiner. So as we flare it out, we can just hook a carabiner up and then that'll hold it. And then one could get in there and just do the final adjustments and tighten it up with their impact driver or a wrench.
So you sell these kits?
I will, yeah, and I could. If people needed them right now, they could email us at parts@TheContainerGuy.ca and we could get them the kit, but we want to further refine everything to make it a true commercialized product.
So maybe possibly pre-orders or something like that?
Yeah, or just, yeah, fire us an email, or we could create a pre-order product on our website there, containermodificationworld.com.
Is this a pretty standard panel size? Like, is this a pretty universally sized thing?
Yeah, 540 watt panel is pretty common. Panels do vary in size depending on the manufacturer, but if you're going 540 watts, it's going to be wider than their traditional just 1 meter wide by 2 meters tall. This is a 1 point.
So this
something.
system is compatible with any size panel, really?
Yep, it's just the back piece of strut that be cut to length to fit the size of panel. So this is about the max that we can get on here and still not have it hang out past the container, which was great. So if we were to use those 6 panels on here, we were actually going to stick out like 6 to 8 inches out each end, and now that'd be an issue for transport.
So now it's nice and flush with the edge.
Yeah, and we want to do some things where we'd actually build like a flaring or something that would protect the wind from getting in here during transport, because we did transport this 600 miles or so. The first time we did it, just taking it to the city, to the customer site for them to do all the stuff inside. Yeah, we didn't have them strapped down very well, and they were catching wind.
And so how do you get up there? Is there a ladder or something? Or?
Yeah, we would have one, or we can
probably mount a ladder on the side here. And...
Yeah, safely, get up there safely.
There's something cool about being able to have a portable off-grid power station in a can, because that's really what you're creating here. And we've talked about this before, about having different containers for different utilities. You know, one for your water purification, one for your electricity, maybe one for your fuel storage and your heating. And you could potentially build out like a modular community of sorts. You know, you have this kind of plug and play aspect to it, and you could scale it up to meet your needs. Now this is being used for military applications. Can't say anything more or else I'm going to be hauled away by the government. Fortunately, our government's completely incompetent, so I really don't have to worry about that. What do you think the utility of something like this in its current form is? Because this is pretty high voltage, right?
Yeah, it's 135 kilowatts, so it could handle 270 more of these panels, but because they don't produce, they're not 100% efficient. 330 or so other panels as a big ground array could feed into this.
So this is kind of like the brains,
yeah,
of the solar field, so to speak.
With a ton of layers of redundancy inside of it. 2 to 3 layers of redundancy on every aspect of it. A big problem, us being Canadian, is the weather's a lot colder around here, and so in the United States we're less of a concern about freezing your batteries, more probably cooking them in the heat, where there's a lot of solutions that have batteries and green energy inside of shipping containers, but they don't deal with our climate. So where we're pros is the building envelope, the insulation, and the methods of heating, and the most efficient methods of heating.
Can we check out what's on the inside?
We can, yeah, for sure.
Right on, let's go check it out.
Woo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can feel how chilly it is in here, and so that's the insulation working. It was cold last night. It's warm outside, but it's cold in here. There's
a lot of money in here, I'll tell you that much. Yep. How much does something like this in its current form go for, would you say?
The cost of this unit here was $450,000. Now, that's not just gear. There's a lot of engineering and development in there.
I can already hear people in the comment section, I can't afford that. $450,000. I have a feeling that the mounting brackets are going to be a lot cheaper than $450,000. So don't worry, there's something in this video for everybody, okay?
What everyone can benefit from in this is what we've developed, and it's more of a system to mount all the stuff inside of shipping containers. So it's so clean in here. Like, you see the way that all of the wiring and everything's mounted, and this is our method of strut lining the interior of containers. And we have
what is strut lining?
Strut channel is basically, here's the profile of it right here.
Yeah.
But it's basically like Lego for big kids. All electricians, all plumbers, they're right at home if you mount strut channel. And when you're running perpendicular to it, we have all of these awesome brackets all over the planet.
So everything's mounted on a strut channel in here?
Yeah, and it handles, each one handles 1,500 pounds on it. So we can have a ton of weight on them and not be worried that they're moving during transport.
So we have some Soul Arc inverters here.
Yeah.
And we have a massive breaker box, a couple of massive breaker boxes.
Yeah.
And so this baby's packing like, what is it, 480?
480 volts is the voltage, and then up to 135 kilowatts. It's a microgrid. It's meant to handle 150 people and fully support them. And this would run the water treatment, the wastewater treatment, all the power, the heat, whatever, at a camp. So we actually have another project that we're working on right now. Maybe I can share with you in a bit, but we're about to pull it into the shop, and it's a 40-foot version of this. It's got generators on each end, and then all of this inside with a ton of batteries. So a lot of people are gonna, in your comments, make fun of you, or make fun of me actually, because there's only 2 batteries in here. We know that we have other types of shipping containers.
How big are these batteries?
5.12 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, so yeah, that's about like kind of the big systems we sell at the store are about. It's 2 of these is like a Tesla Powerwall basically. Like, as a prepper, what I would probably want is obviously a lot more battery storage in here. But I think the cool thing is that you can use this for other applications. It doesn't have to be strictly, you know, for here, they have it strictly as a power station, but you know, you might be able to dual purpose this somehow as for storage. You have your air conditioners there as well, because you got to keep this place cool, because all these things are going to generate a lot of heat, especially in the summer.
Even in the Arctic, it's more important to keep this thing cool than to heat it, because these are producing so much heat. And as a prepper, it would make more sense to be kind of opposite of what we have here. Instead of 9 inverters and 2 batteries, have 9 batteries and 2 inverters. Yeah. Here's our 2 air conditioners, and we did 2 separate ones. So each one of these has their own condenser in the mechanical room in the back. And so if one does go down, there's redundancy, but also if it was required to cool this thing, then they both can kick on and run. And that's what the brains of this thing does. So right here we have this controller. This is all custom programmed and a whole bunch of hardware in there. This costs a ton of money, but what's cool about this is there's really only about $1,500 worth of hardware in there. And so we can repeat that now. And this has like 7 different heat settings and 7 different cool settings. So think of your thermostat at home. It's got like heat 1, heat 2, cool 1, cool 2. This thing will use the most efficient source of heating or cooling. So if the ambient temperature outside is cooler than the temperature in here and you want to cool, it's just going to turn on the exhaust fan. Right. If that doesn't work, then it'll turn off the exhaust fan and turn this on, so that the air conditioners aren't battling an exhaust fan.
Makes sense. So it maximizes efficiency and balancing it with the outside climate.
Right. And then getting off the shelf components to send a signal to something and then have that logic in there to fire that signal back and control things is kind of difficult. And especially if you're trying to be super broad and modular, where you can use, you know, anybody's component, it gets tricky. We're in a 20-foot container, but this isn't all of it. This is about 15 feet long and 7 feet wide. Yeah. And then there's another portion here, and that's where the transformer is and the condenser units, and we can show you that next. But I really want to show you, we say this thing is super expensive, and that's because beside you and beside me, we have these eye-line panels here. These are military grade or beyond, and that brings a lot of costs in here. Like, I think the panel, just the box, is probably 10 grand, and each breaker is thousands of dollars inside of here. So there's a lot of money spent. It's very industrial, very rugged, and one wouldn't have to do this if you're looking to do this for yourself for prepping purposes, that's for sure.
pretty amazing what the government is doing to prepare for World War III, I must say. It's a little unnerving. The cool thing I like about this is the portability. Yeah. So going back to the original point about, well, you know, if I have to fix a mount in place, this just gives me so much more flexibility. Even if I have this on my acreage and I intend on dying on that acreage, yeah, I can move it around if I want to. You know, I could just pick it, the whole thing up and transport it and, you know, move it to the other side of the farm or something like that, and everything is all contained under one roof. It's a pretty cool concept. Yeah,
containers, they're so durable. They're a great structure. They're a great starting point for people when looking to build whatever. There's always arguments that why don't you just build it at 2x4s, and there's valid arguments for that, but there's no argument that a ton of engineering firms utilize containers as a starting base. And here's another example of that. This thing here is indifferent on the type of power that you put into it. So you can be burning fossil fuels through a generator and charging batteries. You can be producing solar, you can be producing hydro, and with these containers and their ability to handle so much weight in the four corners, you can do the vertical, helical, you can do 4 of them, wind turbines, and then if it's not sunny, it's windy. Right. And it's pretty much like
always getting something. Yeah.
Bang on.
Yeah, and it's a great way to combine the intermittence so that you know, maybe at night you're still getting a little bit of something too.
I want to show you the other side of this because the condenser unit, it condensates. Yeah. And so we've actually removed the wood floor out of the back utility section of this and allow that condensate to just drip and exit out of here. These also condensate when they're in air conditioning mode, but we have those condensate lines
outside
through the partition wall.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, let's go check out the other side.
For sure.
So just got your standard container doors on here. You got cut some vents into here.
Yeah, we ventilated it, the doors anyway, so we can pull air through the doors or through the floor. So we have removed the wood floor out of here, yeah, and installed bar grating in its place. So it still handles all the capacity that the container would otherwise, allows all the condensation. So we have these white drip lines here, that's for the air conditioning. Yeah. And then these units actually just condensate right out the bottom. So a bit of a concern when you're running these in the winter, and a bit of a, I don't know, something that the planet has to solve a problem is that these things create a lot of condensation, and what to do with that. You can't just thaw it out when it's minus 40 outside. Heat pumps, totally the way of the future. You know, fossil fuels, eventually, if for some reason they are extinct, yeah, then this is what's going to heat all the homes. Just the only thing is after minus 28, you need some other source of heat.
All right, so I just bought a shipping container off this guy. If you want to get one, go check out his YouTube channel. And if you want to learn how to customize your container, he has a video on pretty much everything. So go and check it out. I hope that YouTube is going to go easy on him now that I've collabed, because I'm pretty sure I'm on the hit list now that I've made so much fun of Justin Trudeau in this video. But like I said, the government's incompetent, so we have some time. Thanks a lot for showing us this today. And I look forward to getting our next project on the go, which is going to be a big one. You guys are going to love this because it's basically building a full-on off-grid survival system in a can. So stay tuned.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.